Today is new RV roof day. I ended up doing a 9-hour drive from Northern California all the way up to Washington to have the new FlexArmor roof installed on my RV. Plus, also a lot of solar prep went into this before I even got here. So I'm going to show you what it looks like to get some of your solar prepped before you do one of these roofs, because once you spray it on, it is pretty much set it and you can't really change it. Well, you can change it if you want a major expense, but I'll show you what it looked like to get some of that prepped and also why I chose this roof. So these two I am mocking up right now to get the distance. Now, one thing is with my roof, like a lot of RV roofs, is we have a curve to deal with. So you will have to move these unistruts at least a little bit closer to the center. You can't have it on the very edge and then have it out on the very edge, or each one is going to be tilted with the contour of the roof. So see, if you bring them in a little bit more center like this one, I'm almost on my final measurements, because so I'll probably put my outer unistrut 6 inches in from the edge, and then I'm going to be doing about 19 inches, I think, separated. That's where I'm at now. It's probably going to change a little bit as I'm still experimenting to make sure that the clamps, when you put them on here, it definitely flattens it and it doesn't pull up on the surface. So you have to move them in, that way they're both kind of flattened out a little bit. Things will flex a little bit, so you can count on a little bit of that, but not much. I will have one solar panel there, another one here. There's going to be one here connected to this one's going to overlap onto that one, and then it's going to come up here to this one, and then one more, and then we will also get one over here, and then they'll all move forward. So I'll give you a quick rundown of what it looks like with two right there. So now the new project is going to consist of these, which are so cool. I've been waiting for somebody to come out with a clamp like this for a long time, and they've been out for a few months, and so I've been kind of waiting to basically get this project underway. But now you can use a lightweight aluminum unistrut with these clamps for super quick installations of solar panels on pretty much almost anything. If you wanted to do a shed, or if you're wanting to do your RV or even a van build, this really makes it a lot simpler, as you don't have to do the Z clamps. You don't have to do any extra penetration. So the only penetrations you're going to do is going to be obviously the unistrut into the roof, but the way I'm going to be doing it's going to be quite a bit different because the roof is going to be getting redone. These things here, I'll leave some information below if you want to check them out. Anybody can buy them. They're not actually that expensive. So let me show you what the setup's going to look like a little bit. And now as we look at the end finish, this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like later. And then obviously as it comes and runs up this way, because we do have a curve right here, so that means only one panel can go there, but I have 2 panels that can go there. I will have to move inlet boxes and more. So a lot of stuff is going to change, but it's going to look really cool. It's going to definitely be a much cleaner installation. Okay, so first step is obviously getting it prepped. We've ripped off pretty much most of the TPO roof, AC units and more. And so we got to get all of this off of here. And I've already done solar prepping with one of the guys that works here. We ended up running new 8-gauge wire, so we'll have 3 of those. That way I can run a little bit more amperage once I get the solar panels up here, which I'll show you a little bit of that later as we get into the install. But one of the other things that we're doing is prepping my solar to now move from 2 locations. I had a roof penetration box there, much like this one, but now we are going to combine both of them to a spot over there where you can see this new junction box. I'll show you what that looks like later, but this is going to go to a new central location. That way I can have it fused and everything, and you'll see what that looks like in one of the other videos that are going to be coming up. So here's what the original roof looked like when the TPO was going over it. They are actually going to be including this new piece of flashing. This is going to give it a little bit more structural, but also it's going to just make a nicer transition. And this is going to run all the way up the sides and also the back of the trailer. And for the RV insurance company who said I didn't take care of my RV, I don't see any wood rot anywhere. So as far as seals, I don't see anything that's damaged. So when they say I didn't do any sealing on my RV, obviously you can see that there's no damage anywhere. All right, the next bit of progress, the roof is really pretty much prepped. We're going to be doing solar panel mounting now to get everything spaced out where we're going to be putting the panels as far as where that unit strut's going to go, so they can put in some studs that are going to be able to hold that in place, because once they get sprayed in, that's it. So that's why you want to do a lot of this solar prepping at home before you get to this point. That way it doesn't take too much extra time that you may have to pay for. So that's one thing, if you know what you're going to do, obviously get it done. But that's what it looks like so far. Now another thing they will do is replace, like this is where my refrigerator is, so this vent's going to get replaced, and then they use their own custom mounts as well. So these mounts are actually, these are the vent caps, so that you will get a new vent cap, and those are specifically designed by them. So I have one there, there's one there, and then you'll see that one over there as well. So 3 new vent caps, all nice and new. So this is going to look really good by the time we're done. Okay, so all of the solar panels now have been marked. I only brought 3 because I'm just using these 3 as a template as I moved them around all over the roof to get the idea of where we're going to put all of the studs, that way they can basically get, you know, enough studs in the roof to where I can lock down all of the unit strut that's going to be on here, which is all that low profile aluminum unit strut, super light, and it's actually not that expensive. I'll leave information below so you guys can check it out. And for this project, I'm using the Sun 200 watt bifacial panels. If you guys haven't seen the video yet, I already did a comparison with 5 of these different solar panels, 5 different brands. That way you guys can check and see if, you know, you might see a panel you might like better, but these ones performed really, really well. So right here, this is our insert, right? Just to show you a little piece, but you see how I can press on that at the moment? You know, it's just your normal rubber insert. So, show you what it looks like after you spray that, because even with just the overspray on this, it's already stiffer. Like this spot doesn't have as much, but I can press on it. Now obviously, once this material is on there and it's at its full thickness, then you'll see how durable this stuff really is. Now once these guys start spraying this, it normally only takes them about an hour roughly to really spray the whole thing and get it to the thickness that they want, which by the time they start and by the time they end, they're really trying to shoot for about a 3/16, you know, thickness all the way across. That way it's uniform. And of course that comes with practice. These guys are trained, they do, you know, practice pieces, that way they can spray on the amount that's needed. Now obviously it can go down and up just a little bit, but they do check it along the way. So, and of course now after they get done spraying, the only thing left to do is honestly the reassembly part, but they're gonna let it sit and cure. Reassembly starts tomorrow morning, and then hopefully it should be out of here about noon. But you can see all the studs that are ready for all the racking, which that will be a different video, and I'll show you guys how I do everything there, along with how I do the wiring, because I'm still not 100% sure on how I'm gonna finish it. I have a couple different boxes I'm still looking at, but at least that part, I made it to where it's serviceable, so I can change the box. I can do a couple different things if I want. So that was kind of one of the things I wanted to do, just in case, as I change things along the way in the future for other videos, I have things that are serviceable. So, but overall looks super good. So let this cure and come back, well, probably tomorrow. All right, and here we are now, the finished product. This is the finished white spray that they put over it. I was actually going to mount some of the racking, but I left some of the hardware at home because they provide the studs and everything. But if you want to pay for all the extra, you know, washers and lock washers, you can. But, you know, you can buy that in bulk at the hardware store and maybe save a little bit of money. So I didn't bring any of that. I do have some at home, but so I'm not going to mount it now, so you'll have to see what it looks like on the next video when I do start the actual mount. And there's a little prep that I have to do, and of course all the wiring that I'm going to set up, so you'll see how that'll look later. This new cover, I actually had to notch this out where actually they did it, but we talked about it because there is a piece of unistrut that will be right here, and that'll run forward for one panel. So we thought about turning this around, but we have a stud back there. So, and cosmetically, who's going to get up on my roof and look at it besides really myself? So for maybe video purposes, it would look better if it was completed, but there's going to be a panel roughly right here, and the wind's just going to go pretty much right over it anyway. So now, one thing I did do is that I replaced this fan. The one that comes with it was obviously one of the cheapest little 6-inch fans that you can get, which is, you know, ridiculous for, you know, a nicer RV. But this one, if you haven't seen the Arizona tech, I forget his name or whatever, but he's a Arizona RV tech guy. He actually found this particular model, and I'll leave it down below, the one I got, but it is essentially the same thing as like a Max Air fan, just without the name. It has a remote, it automatically has wind detection, it can work with the lid down. So if you guys are looking for a cheaper version, check out this one that I have linked. It was much cheaper with all the goodies and stuff. So, and if you remember when I pushed on that one spot, well, you can't push on this at all now. I mean, that's just how hard this stuff is. I mean, so now if you're up here ever working on your roof, and let's say you drop a hammer on it, you're not really going to have an issue. And that's the thing, if you did that with the normal TPO roof material, I mean, you normally have to walk up here with no shoes because just a small pebble is enough to damage the roof and poke little holes that you don't even know are there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why I chose this roof, because like anybody, I'm a researcher and I research for a long time. It's kind of a horrible habit, but it took over 1.5 years of me researching between FlexArmor, the FlexArmor, just putting a tropical on it and more. But because of the type of lifestyle and the things that I do with my RV, I figured it was best to get something very durable. And how would I prep it? That was really one of the big things, is that because once that stuff is on there, you really can't change much. So then I was like, okay, well, because I like to travel, I like to test stuff, and I like to try different solar panels and setups and things, I needed something more universal. Hence the Unistrut with those new mounts makes it to where I can do a lot of different configurations. But because of some of the locations I go to as well, there are times where I have found myself in situations to where, hence I'm here, I damaged my roof at one of the locations I went to, and a tree ended up rubbing the side of the liner, and then it ended up causing more and more of it to fail. So one of the problems I had was, do I just do a regular roof and put another TPO roof on it? Or do I get something I know that's going to last? And here's the kicker part. I was getting estimates, like several of them. I got 4 or 5 estimates. And just to do a TPO roof, it was the same price as this. This was actually just slightly cheaper if I was just to do it normal. But because of modifications, add-ons, and extras, then it did cost a little bit more. But it probably would have been the same if I did the TPO, because they always say, as soon as they rip the liner off, they're going to replace this and that. They'll add a couple more expenses. So now for me, because of everything I'm doing, it's almost about $11,500 to $12,000 roughly for the job that I did. Now that's because I have extra work, I added on some extra things, and so there are some additional costs. If I didn't do all that, I probably could have easily saved another, probably $1,500. Now, one of the things when it comes to the lawsuit, this is the part that was a little bit discouraging, because after owning recreational vehicles for over 30 years and RVs, jet skis, and boats, I've never filed a claim ever. And so this was the first time I filed a claim with my insurance company, who is Progressive, and they said that it didn't look like my RV suffered any kind of a strike from a tree or anything. It looks like it was natural failure or due to sun damage. And so this is where the argument began, going back and forth, everything else, which now leads me to small claims, because when they mentioned sidewall damage, they mentioned sun damage. It was just basically a branch that rubbed against it. That's all it was. And it basically weakened it and poked little holes along the side. And why would they even mention sun damage? That the sun actually wore out the TPO roof, which TPO roofs are rated for about 20 years. So let's say we do a half-life at 10 years. I'm only 4.5 years old. So none of it makes any sense. So if you happen to get a denial, make sure you go and get actual, experts that do RV roof repairs, work on stuff, not just some adjuster guy who comes out and then all of a sudden wants to deny your claim, because that's their job, is to, see what they can figure out, if they can deny it and not pay out a claim. And it's becoming very common, actually, especially with Progressive, if you do some research. But again, they came back as it being sun damage or just roof failure in general. So this is hence where I'm gonna fight it and take it to court, and we'll see what happens. So you guys will have to stay tuned, because the court date is still gonna be, you know, a month and a half out before I find out, you know, what really happens. But so that's hence the lawsuit part of it, and hence I went with this type of roof, because I don't want to deal with this again. I want to have a roof that I know is going to be, you know, no maintenance, because now I don't have to get up there and go and reseal everything 2 or 3 times a year, checking for leaks or whatever, and also checking for damage. Or again, because I'm up there testing and playing with things, I don't want to worry about my shoes poking little teeny holes in a paper thin roof material, which I don't even know why they continue to use that stuff. And well, the reason why is because it's cheap. So anyway, hence that's why I'm doing this. And so you have to stay tuned for what's going to come with the solar, how I'm going to be doing that, because again, if you wanted to do this roof, you want to try to prep everything that you can before you basically get to this spot. It'll save you time, it'll save them time, and save you money. Okay, well that's it. The roof is done, and now it's really just time to hook up, start driving home. And then if you guys want to check out the install part of it, make sure to check out the coming videos in the next couple weeks, where I'm going to show you the racking installed, how I do the wiring, and more. So, and if you guys have any questions, let me know down below, and I hope to see you in another video.